I wish they would get the idea. It takes way too much money to build these consoles. Why not adapt the game to the computer, something people already have, and really, what are you going to do? You either buy a new computer or you upgrade the computer. Either way, it's less money to spend on their end, more money on our end, which is what they want, and it keeps us playing. Because if we're pissed off we can't play, like I can't play Warcraft right now because it's Cataclysm, we'll go out and buy that goddamn computer. I can guarantee you.
See, I have, as far as favorite consoles and stuff, and favorite games.
Dankeschön.
Bitteschön. When I was growing up, first of all, I didn't have a lot in the way of games at first. My parents, I remember playing a Nintendo at some point, I remember playing an Atari at some point, and I remember back in the day when you could still rent systems. We actually rented a Sega Genesis for a weekend and played it. But basically, what happened was my parents got me a Super Nintendo, and I became a gaming addict for several years. And I played Zelda almost exclusively, Zelda and Super Mario World. And my sister gave me Final Fantasy, the really popular one that came out on the one that's both 6 and 3. If any of you are familiar with the way Final Fantasy was released in the States, when it came over to the States, this was actually, I think, 6 in Japan, but it was released as 3 over here. So I played that one. And then you got the fact that,
yay, potato.
like, I basically didn't have any new systems for a long time. Then I got together with my husband. We were dating at the time, and for like my birthday, I think it was, he gave me a GameCube. So I had a GameCube, and I loved it. I got Wind Waker for it, and of course I love the Zelda series and the Zelda games. So I got that, and I stopped liking those when I got to about Twilight Princess. But I played those. I played Harvest Moon for GameCube. I do like simulation games to a certain degree. I like Harvest Moon. I like The Sims. I was a Sims addict on my computer for a long period of time. I finally got out of it, and then Sims 3 came out, and I bought it because I caved. And
I made her buy it.
I have it, but I haven't really played with it. Honestly, what I use The Sims 3 for is building houses and designing houses for Good Company. I've actually designed Anton Elsa's house for Good Company in
There's
Sims 3.
only one reason we don't play it, and that's because when I try to put it on my computer, it crashes.
Yeah, if we want to play a game, we want to play it together, and it kind of pissed me off because she can't play at the same time, so I feel bad playing it if she can't. Then, let's see. Console games, Little Big Planet, of course I love it. I love the creation system. I love the way that it's set up. I also had a Nintendo 64, actually, when I was growing up, too. My mom and dad got me that for one of my Christmases. And I played the Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on it. Now, I love the Metal Gear Solid series. If any of you have played that, I was gifted Metal Gear Solid 1 from one of my nieces. Her older brother had given it to her, so she gave it to me because she couldn't understand it. And mind, she was like 5 or 6 at the time. Why would you give a child Metal Gear Solid? I played it.
I gave my 8-year-old Grand Theft Auto. We sat there and kicked grandmas off our motorcycles for an hour.
My nephews played that, but
they loved it.
I played it. I loved it, and I just kind of fell in love with the characters and the storyline. And later on, my husband's like, "Oh, well, hey, they've got more of those." I was like, "What?" Because I didn't keep a track on what games were out. So I didn't play 2, but I watched him play 2. He was majorly obsessed with video games and stuff, so he was always playing a game in the house. So I've seen a lot of games, but not played them myself. Anytime he would try to get me to play them myself.
And you have to understand, there is a very, very big difference between being a game addict and actually being able to play the game. My biggest pet peeve with Red was that, yeah, he loved games and all. He loved to beat them as fast as possible, which normally meant he didn't play them at all, because he would go on YouTube and look up walkthroughs, and as the walkthrough was playing, he would do exactly what that walkthrough said. He didn't actually play the game for himself.
I enjoy running around being derp in the fields of Hyrule and stuff like that. I play a game to have fun. But anyway, basically, let's see.
To madness.
You totally knocked me off track. God damn it.
I had so many Super Nintendo games. I had 300 and some games. My cousins were game addicts. My aunt and my uncle were game addicts. This is that family that I told you I went to church with every Sunday, which is really funny because then we come home and play Castlevania.
Castlevania's amazing. I like Castlevania for the DS.
My uncle knew every fucking cheat website to go to for shit like that. We always played sports games. Let's see. My favorite sports games was the golf, the bowling, and tennis.
I've always loved skater games and biking games, especially the ones where you're doing extreme tricks.
Skateboarding games. Yeah, we got the Tony Hawk.
And snowboarding.
Yes. We have the Tony Hawk skateboarding thing where it actually comes with a skateboard.
Now, the only consoles we actually have anymore, because Red actually took all the consoles when he left, which is okay. I bought them for him. But,
we have my GameCube, my N64...
My N64.
And,
my Sega Genesis.
Nathan's Wii.
Yeah, we're borrowing a Wii from a friend. We've been borrowing it for so long.
I have my PS2, which I love playing Final Fantasy 12 on. I don't understand why people hate 9 and 12. They are my absolute favorites. I
have a Super Nintendo out in the garage.
Yeah. Mario Paint, that was one of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo. But now
had a Mario Demasi.
Yeah. Harvest Moon, Pokemon. I really love simulation games and games where you actually raise something. Monster Rancher games, Dinosaur, Dragon Hunters, Turok. I loved any kind of RPG aside from Zelda. I actually can't stand Zelda. I really could not get into Zelda. I couldn't understand why everybody else was
not an RPG.
Yeah, but I mean,
I have to agree with Red on that one. Zelda's not an RPG; it's an action game.
Yeah, but I mean, I was like, everybody was like, "Oh, if you like RPGs, play this," and I was like, "I can't get into this."
It's a good bridge for people that play RPGs but they're not fans like you are.
Phoenix Wright and Professor Layton. Don't get me wrong, I love the games to death. I love Professor Layton to death, but I can't play them. When I first played, I love Elite Beat Agents.
I've never played Professor Layton, but I have played Phoenix Wright, and I adore it.
I love Phoenix Wright, but the problem is that I have conditioned myself to read in order to fall asleep. When I can't fall asleep, I will sit there and I'll read. And you can ask Hannah. The other night, I pulled out Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities because I was doing research for Third Council, and I didn't even make it to chapter 3, and their chapters are only 2 pages long.
She passed out.
I was dead out by the time I got to chapter 3, which is 4 fucking pages in, and I was just gone, and I haven't been able to read it since. But I think the only time I've ever been able to read more than 3 chapters is if I'm actually reading aloud and we're upstairs in bed reading to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. The only book I've ever read completely was The Looking Glass Wars in one sitting. Da Vinci Code came in second because I did half book one night, half book the other night. But when I played Phoenix Wright, RPD had given it to me to play.
You kept falling asleep because of the storyline, didn't you?
Yeah, I went to Otakon, and I love Law and Order, so I love these lawyer games. And I love being able to solve mysteries. I love Clue and all that fun stuff. So I'm sitting there at Otakon, we're waiting on the Artist Alley to open. And they're like, have you played Phoenix Wright? And I was like, no, I haven't. So he gave me his game, we plugged it into the GameCube. Now mind you, I'm standing up leaning against the glass wall that separates the 2 parts of the convention center. It's right where that bridge is, where the cars can come through. So I'm leaning against that, and I'm playing this game, started it up. I maybe got to the second actual crime scene, which doesn't take too long in the first round. I was gone. I slid down the glass wall, and I was out. And I kept waking up every 5 seconds to hit the enter button, but then I was like, fuck, I can't do this. I was like, I know who did it. I just can't get to who did it. And so, I can't play those games. Brain Age. I love Brain Age. I love any kind of game with puzzles. Same for Zelda again. Star Fox Adventures I love. My biggest obsession is DDR, if it's not World of Warcraft. I love DDR so much. I try to get Hannah to play it. She thinks she gets embarrassed every time she tries to play it.
This is very true.
But I love it. I got my mom to play it. I got severely pissed off because after I graduated out of my technical school, they implemented the law of adding in 4 DDR machines as a means of exercise. Since we had 30 minutes between classes to actually do anything. you had 4 DDR machines that were available, and I was so pissed off because they actually entered it as part of the gymnastic program because it did help people lose weight.
See, me, DDR and stuff like that, I can't really get into it. I think it's because the way I was introduced to it was by people who are really, really much better than me at it. So I always felt awkward with it.
I mean, I was introduced to it when I first played DDR. I kid you not, I played on the computer via thumbs. I didn't have a dance pad, but I was so loving the fact that you had to follow the beat in order to play the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I love music to death, and I was like, this is what I want to do. And I would play it every single day for at least 3 to 6 hours after school, and then I'd be like, oh, hey, Hannah's on! And then rush to the computer and think it never existed in the first place.
But, I loved, as far as console games and stuff go, Katamari Damacy. I love games that take a really odd concept. Katamari Damacy was one of my favorites. Then there's, let's see, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. There's Katamari Damacy, there was Trauma Center for the Wii. I love Trauma Center for the Wii. Harvest Moon.
God, I love Harvest Moon.
And now, if you want to get into gory games I love Dead Rising. Which
House of the Dead for me. I loved playing the arcade version of the game.
Most people would hear me say that at work because people at work do not expect me to be somebody that knows anything about video games.
They don't expect her to be lesbian either. So.
And so I'd be sitting there at work, and somebody would be like, these guys would be like, oh man, the other day I was playing Dead Rising or whatever, and this, and this. I turn around and be like, really? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And they would just look at me like I was I was speaking a foreign language or something, because they didn't expect me to play games like Dead Rising because I was a girl. And I pretty much explained one day to one of these guys, the different games I played and what I'd beaten, and he was like, "Wait, you did what? You played Gears of War? You've beaten Gears of War? You've done this?" And I'm like, "Yeah." My husband and I went through Gears of War and Gears of War 2 together, which is fun, but it's really not fully my thing. I'm not a big fan of first-person shooters. I love Dead Rising because I love the concept and I love the humor in it.
First-person shooters. I love Cabela hunting games. My uncle was a hunter, and so he would take me out, and he actually taught me how to use a shotgun, and I killed a couple of deer. But I love Cabela hunting games. That is like my duck hunting crack. I hate Duck Hunt. I really do. I can't stand playing Duck Hunt, but give me a goddamn Cabela's game and I will give you every single statistic on the planet to killing a fucking polar bear.
Now, other games and stuff, I'm trying to think of actual games I like, because there's not been a lot of them that really sparked my interest. Red played a lot of games, but not a lot of them sparked my interest. Now, there's some games I love the concept of, but I don't play them that
Legend.
much. Fatal Frame. Silent Hill. I love the design. I love the concept. Can I play some of them? Not entirely. Resident Evil. Okay, and I know that I'll probably get shot for this, but Resident Evil 4. Resident Evil 4 is my particular favorite. I know that a lot of purist fans for Resident Evil hate that game. I adore it. I hate most of the other ones. Even Resident Evil 5. Resident Evil 5 is stupid. But, when it comes to games and stuff, again, my husband was really into not just games, the politics of the gaming community, the way that gaming worked, and all of that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of things I could actually rant about quite a bit on games because I did get behind some of the things.
Mine was the psychology and just the overall development and building of it because that's what I did.
Some of my biggest pet peeves with games and consoles today, it's one of the reasons why gaming to me is not something I would do in a community anymore. I would do it by myself. First of all,
World of Warcraft, I am such a solo person. I can't stand going into groups unless I absolutely have
unless
to.
It's me. You like playing with me.
Because I love seeing you get on a fucking Hawkstrider and attack everything. You avoid every cougar on the damn plot, but of course not. You have to bring them to me. And I'm like, really? I'm a hunter. I can kill shit. Sure,
I do enjoy playing World of Warcraft in spurts.